best piece of advice is to surround yourself with people who really know a lot about the things that you don't. And there are so many people out there who want to be mentors. I mean, people that you think that you could never get to. And I really did that through LinkedIn. I just reached out to people who I never thought would even get back to me, who had built huge companies, who were posting things on LinkedIn that I thought were just really valuable pieces of information. And I would just send them a note and say, I'm new. I would love if you would spend 15 minutes on a call with me and I could tell you about my business and you could just tell me what your thoughts are as to the direction I could go.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. You ever need help with yours? Just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat. We're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Courtney Kramer Wilson. And Courtney started her journey in college doing a theater major, was an actress in TV and film for a number of years. Also, I believe wrote a musical and did some off-Broadway things for a number of years. And then went back and got a degree in journalism about 12 years ago, got married, moved, raised kids. Husband was an entrepreneur and had a natural food broker's business, had an opportunity to work with Haskap berries, and I'm sure I am absolutely slaughtering that. And then husband got busy with the current job, and so Courtney was having issues, started taking the juice from those berries, started feeling better, decided to make it into a startup and a business, and has been growing it ever since. So with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Courtney.
Well, thank you. I don't know if there's anything left for me to say. You did a great job there.
Condense everybody's life into 30 seconds. So
that's about it.
But no, great to have you on. Excited to hear a bit more about your journey. So I just took a much longer journey and condensed it into the 30 or 45-second version of it. But let's rewind and unpack it a bit. So tell us a little bit about how your journey got started going off to college studying theater.
Sure. Wow. Gosh, I'm really having to dig back into the archives here. Yeah, I graduated a little bit early with a theater major, English minor, also women's studies minor, and I was going to Drew University in New Jersey. I decided I wanted to just go to LA, see what could happen. I was interested in TV and film after most of my background up to that point had been theater. And I did a little bit of work there. And then because I had dual citizenship, Canadian citizenship, I was told by an agent that I should consider going up to Vancouver, as they were calling that Hollywood North at the time. So I moved up to Vancouver and just got a lot of things going up there. There was a lot of TV opportunities. I wrote my musical with a partner up there. And we took that to New York at the Cherry Lane Theater for off-Broadway for a while. We moved it to Santa Monica for a 3-month run there. So in that time, I pretty much did some small film, a lot of sci-fi, bad TV. And after the musical, realized that I probably wasn't going to become the next Julia Roberts, and decided to go back to school, get my journalism degree, and for whatever reason.
One quick question, just diving in. So how long did you work in, both in theater as well as TV and film? Kind of over what period of time was that?
I would say from about 20 to 28 years old, about that range. And then went to school for about 1.5 years in Vancouver, just a very hands-on journalism program, and actually got a job before I finished. So I left early. I got on an all news radio station, a great anchor position. And so my career has mainly been in radio, but at mostly, yes, pretty much all talk radio stations. So was in Vancouver at News 1130 for a long time, moved back to LA and worked at KFI, which is a big radio station in Los Angeles. Moved up to Toronto, worked at Chorus Entertainment, also in their radio news anchor department. So that's pretty much what I did for the remainder of my time as a single person. And then about 9 years ago, I got pregnant. My husband and I moved down to Carmel, California, and I pretty much raised my kids for, I would say, maybe 6. When Peyton was 6, I went back to work helping my husband in his natural foods broker business. So just kind of learning the ways of small brands, how they're built, how they get into retail, kind of the pitfalls of that, and seeing the brands that succeeded. And it was just a real eye-opener for me. I'd never done anything in business before. I knew nothing about sales and distributors, anything like that. So I was just kind of helping him out for about 3 years. And then Mark, my husband, got a call from the head of the Haskap Farming Association in Canada, who he had connected with about 12 years before. He had a stevia business in Canada, and he was looking for an ingredient for a stevia soda at the time. And Haskap was just becoming a thing in Canada at that time, and the berries were not mature. They hadn't done enough testing. So that was kind of put on hold. But 10 years later, they called him and they said, okay, we've really got something here. Would you be interested in kind of going into business with us and seeing if we could make Haskap, a more mainstream thing? We have a ton of research on the berry now. We have a way of producing the berry through flash pasteurization where we can hold the nutrients and deliver a really nutrient dense product. Mark was really busy with his broker business, and at the time I was really just not well. I had I had chronic migraines. I had a lot of problems with my gut health issues. I had just a lot of energy issues, and I felt like I really just couldn't take care of my kids properly. So what I ended up doing was just trying the juice. We had shipped some down to California. I just started taking it, and within a couple of months, I was just feeling so much better. And to be honest, I was skeptical because I thought, hey, this is just a berry. I mean, really, how much could it do? And I was just, it was remarkable, the change in my health. So I just started elbowing my way into farmers markets here in town, and that's the benefit of living in California. There's a ton of great avenues to start up a small business. And sorry, I'm just going to stop 1 second, Devin. Okay, I'm on a podcast. So I felt like if I could just get this product out to some other people, see if they had similar reactions, that would be really helpful for me. So elbowing my way into these farmers markets, we started with 1, I moved up to 4. I, bought a tent, I bought some sandbags. I had a friend paint me some signs of what the Haskap berry looked like. I had a friend make me a logo. I mean, it was very grassroots. And I just started selling the juice. We didn't have the powder at that time. And people loved it. And they just kept coming back and coming back. And so we got into more markets. And then the retail stores, the local retail stores started carrying it. And it was selling out. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll have a friend make me a website. She
Now,
made me a
just one
website.
question, just to dive in, definitely
Mhm.
not to interrupt the journey, but because it
Yeah,
sounds like, to a degree, in putting words in your mouth, you can certainly correct, that you weren't necessarily intending to start out doing a startup or a small business for the Hascap Berry, but rather you were saying, hey, I have got health issues, I want to feel better, I want to have more energy, don't want to be as tired, whatever all those things might be. So you started using it. Now, when you started going to the farmers market, was it by that point, was it with the intent of, hey, I'm going to build this into a full-size or big business, or was it still just testing out the marketplace and seeing if people would buy it, or kind of walk us through a little bit of that progression of how the business evolved?
sure. So when we got the call, the intent was to see if we could make it a business. However, I think that with my being ill at the time, it really gave me a lot of confidence to know that there was actually something behind this berry. And the farmers markets were a way for me to further test that. So I wasn't really going to go any further until I knew if other people were having the reaction that I was having to the berry.
Mm.
So at that point, we thought, okay, well, we should make a website. We should get it into like small retail. Like everything was very small, of what we were doing at the time.
Mm.
And then we thought, okay, let's just try to put it on Amazon. And and the first year we incorporated, I think we did, this was in August 2021, we did $35,000 in sales. And then year 22, we did 135. So we really went up within the year of 2021, 2022. And really what I did was I just started doing my own social media. Um, I had friends basically build me a website, had to figure out a lot of things on my own.
No, and I think that's the evolution of a lot of businesses. You figure things out as you go along. You don't necessarily, if you've done the business before, you'd already be successful. You'd already be in business, and so that's part of getting things figured out as you go along. So you start going to farmers market, and then you just get on Amazon a bit. You get a website going, and then was it one where it grew into a big business and you guys are huge and you're blowing up and having tons of sales, or was it one where you kind of found out that it was market cap or starting to shrink, or it's gone bankrupt, or you hired lots of employees? Kind of catch us up as to where it's at today.
Sure. So it's still just me. I've hired people along the way for contract work, someone to help me with my social media. I had to hire someone to get my finances in order because I'm terrible with numbers. And for the first year, I didn't keep track of sales. I had no P&L statement. I mean, I was just focused on trying to get the product out the door. So it was a total mess.
Mm.
I didn't even, I think, I filed my taxes like a year late because I didn't even know that it didn't even occur to me that I needed to do that. That's how green I was. And now I would say we're growing fairly quickly, but I'm trying to not grow too fast because I think that's the biggest mistake that brands make is they try to scale too quickly. So what my method is keeping just in California. We just got into Erewhon, which is our big coup, if you will. Erewhon Market in LA. They have 9 locations. It's a big deal to get in there. It was very expensive to get in there, so I don't plan on doing another big store like that for a long time. I'm just going to focus on specialty stores within the California region, and I think that's the best way to do it if you can do it without a distributor, because the distributor takes a margin and then the store takes a margin, and so retail is, a tough game. Um, so, and then just trying to manage the algorithm on Amazon, and now looking at rebranding. Now I'm looking for funding. So the idea is to scale, but it needs to be at a pace that the business can handle. And I think when I was in the broker business, that's what I saw a lot is small brands getting wiped out because they went with a KHE or a UNFI. They couldn't handle the chargebacks. They couldn't handle the listing fees, and it destroys brands. So to me, I mean, I would love for this to just be an e-commerce business because that's really the best way to do it margin wise. But I think you do need to be in retail just so that you can get eyes on the product and you can just start getting it out there, especially with a Hascat berry that no one in the US has ever heard of.
No, it sounds like you know, a lot of or future opportunity as well as a lot of growth and figuring things out and continuing to evolve the brand and the product as you go along. So it sounds like a lot of fun things yet to come. And so that kind of leads into, I always have two questions at the end, but I'm going to ask one question before that, which is, so now if you're to kind of look and see, okay, next 6 to 12 months, kind of where do you see things headed? What are the next steps for the business? You kind of started to touch on that, but kind of give us an idea as to where you guys are headed.
Well, we're planning a rebrand. So a full overhaul of the website, the products, maybe changing the bottle size. We're going to just do a whole redesign of the packaging. We want to develop a gummy. We're looking to maybe do an individual shot and also get into some food service. So just getting more revenue streams. And that's kind of what the funding is for, is just to get all that stuff together. And then in the next 6 to 12 months, I'd like to be in maybe 25 more doors, retail locations, but small ones, small specialty, high volume stores. No big chains, no big stores like that. And just really try to get awareness on Hascat, because I think there are other brands coming. I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about the berry in the next few years, because Runner's World is doing articles on it. It's really great for energy. It's super great for inflammation. They've done a lot of studies on cognitive support and regenerating neurons that are degenerating in the brain. So the berry is highly nutraceutically comprehensive. And I think that because of that, it's going to become something that a lot of people are going to want to start to incorporate. So we're just first to market and here to educate.
Sounds like a lot of good opportunities yet to come and a lot of fun areas to take the business. So that's awesome. So with that, now as we do reach towards the present day of the journey and even looking a little bit as to where things are headed, great time to transition to the two questions I always ask at the end of each episode. So we'll jump to those now. So the first question I always like to ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made? What'd you learn from it?
I think the worst decision I ever made was employing people to do things that I could have learned to do myself. And I spent a lot of money on agencies that promised to really grow my sales and help get eyes on the brand. And none of those really delivered. And I'm talking about email marketing agencies. I'm talking about some publicity companies. I'm talking about certain Amazon seller interactive places that work on Amazon to help you grow. These are all things that you really can do yourself. But I didn't know how to do it, and I trusted the salespeople, and I ended up really sinking a lot of money into a lot of programs with very little results. And I think if I could have done it over again, I would have been much more choosy as to where I put my money and gave myself a little bit more credit for being able to figure out these things on my own.
No, I think that makes sense. You know, and it's a hard trade-off because of the one sense you can't do everything all at once, and you don't have the skill sets to do everything, and yet vice versa. You know, my experience has been, or is probably similar to yours. There are some great people out there that can, you know, they run a great business that help you with Amazon and marketing and sales. And there are a lot of ones that make a lot of promises and yet don't have a lot of results. And, especially if you're not familiar, it takes a lot of time and effort to sift through those. And it can get expensive as a startup and small business when you have very limited funds. And so that is an easy place to make mistakes, and a good area to learn. And sometimes you'll learn, hey, we may get there at some point, or we may have to go through a few, but we're going to make sure that we learn what we need to know so that when we interact with them, we get the results that we need. So I think that's an easy mistake to make, but a great one to learn from.
I think the referrals are really important, to your point. If you can, because a lot of these companies came to me via LinkedIn or, found our website. And I think if I could go back, I would, now that I have some more people that I can contact in the business, mainly through LinkedIn, I would just say, can you refer me to somebody who's just, really lean and mean and can really get the job done?
No, I think that's great. I think that's a lot of times where, sometimes you just don't have any referrals, and you don't, everybody else doesn't have anybody either, but to the degree you can find those referrals, find someone that, has good word of mouth, good reviews, and people like them, have used them before, it can make a big difference. So I think it's a great takeaway. Second question, or transitions right into the second question I asked, which now if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I would say the best piece of advice is to surround yourself with people who really know a lot about the things that you don't. And there are so many people out there who want to be mentors. I mean, people that you think that you could never get to. And I really did that through LinkedIn. I just reached out to people who I never thought would even get back to me, who had built huge companies, who were posting things on LinkedIn that I thought were just really valuable pieces of information. And I would just send them a note and say, I'm new. I would love if you would spend 15 minutes on a call with me, and I could tell you about my business, and you could just tell me what your thoughts are as to the direction I could go. And I was amazed at the people who got back to me and who still have remained interested in the success of Sweet Prairie Haskap and where we're going. And I'm still in contact with those people. And once I can someday afford them, they'll be even more helpful. But I've learned so much, and I've taken so much great advice and been able to move forward with that. So as many mentors from successful people that you can find, I think that's the best way
I
to
think
move
that's
forward.
Definitely a great piece of advice and a great takeaway. So, well, now as we do wrap up the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Sure. So our website is sweetprairiehaskap.com, and my name is Courtney, and my email is courtney@hellohaskap.com.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage everybody to reach out, connect, and support a great business. If nothing else, make a new best friend. So with that, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been it's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you, the listeners that are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So just go to inventiveguest.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners. Make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review. Helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success. And on that note, if you ever along your journey, you ever need help with patents or trademarks, feel free to go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Courtney, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you so much. This was such a pleasure.